Okay, I think we'll go ahead and start. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'm Sonia Chavez, U.S. Marshal for the District of New Mexico, and we're here to announce some exciting results for our community. Before we do that, I'm going to introduce our partners who are standing up here with me. We have Major Robert Altgear with the New Mexico State Police, DA for the 2nd Judicial District, Sam Breckman, Chief Deputy David Funes, and Chief Deputy Nick Huffmeyer with Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, Cecily Barker, Deputy Chief Cecily Barker, and Josh Brown with the Albuquerque Police Department. And then we have Jamal Gregory, Wes Hatley, Clarence Banks from the Department of Corrections STIU unit. We also have Jeremy Romero from the Governor's Office. We have my boss, Chief Deputy Jim Burrell from the Marshals Service. And we have our Enforcement Supervisor, Team Leader Vinny Gambone from the Marshals Service. Oh yeah, we have Aaron Jones from APD 2. And Mr. Barry from BCSO. Anyway, it truly is an honor to be here today with all of our partners who are here standing with us as they have for many, many years. But in the last 30 days, the Marshals Service has led an exciting operation where Albuquerque was selected as one of 10 cities nationwide to once again concentrate our efforts on addressing violent crime in our community. So in the last 30 days, we were able to really take a look at some of the most violent offenders in our community, prioritize those cases in conjunction with our partners, and make some significant arrests. So we arrested nearly 90 fugitives here in Albuquerque. 61 of those were state cases and 27 were federal cases. So we do this in partnership with our federal and state prosecutors and our local, state, and federal partners. So it's an exciting thing for us to be able to bring more resources to our great community. And again, it's a testament to the commitment that we have with our partners to continue to address violent crime in Albuquerque. Of the nearly 90 arrests made in the last 30 days, 4 of those were homicide cases. You have to know that many of these individuals that we arrested were wanted for some sort of probation violation. So when you look at those probation violation offenders, we always look at their underlying offenses. And the majority of those underlying offenses were violent crimes, sexual offenses, armed robberies. One of them was wanted for bank robbery. One of the most significant cases we had in the last 30 days was the recovery of a minor child and the reunification of that young girl with her mother. They had been separated for almost 2 years. So we're excited about the results and know that this is really just part of our everyday work here at the Marshals Service in conjunction with all these wonderful, strong partners behind us. The work doesn't stop here. We were able, like I said, to bring in some extra resources for this operation, but we will continue to work steadfastly to address violent crime in our community as we have. So at this time, I'd like to call up Aaron Jones from the Albuquerque Police Department. He'll go first.
Good. Thank you, Marshal Chavez. So from the Albuquerque Police Department, this is a great representation of the partnerships that we enjoy and that really, sorry, Channel 7, your mic's moving, that it's a great representation of what a local and federal partnership can look like and the results that come from that partnership. At the Albuquerque Police Department, we know that we can't do it by ourselves, and so engaging in partnerships and having task forces such as this is instrumental in the success, and that's represented in the numbers that you just heard. And so we appreciate you allowing us to be a part of the partnership, and we are looking forward to this work in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll have a Chief Deputy from the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, David Funes.
Thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this operation. I know that working together, we're able to accomplish a lot more. So thank you again, Marshall. I appreciate everything that you've done for us and for all the other partners that we're able to work with, so thank you.
Thank you. So we want to give a little bit of extra attention to probation and parole. A lot of the operations that we focused on this time were some of their cases. And if you were to look at some of the backgrounds with some of these individuals, you would see that they're the individuals who, in many, many cases, have no regard for authority or no regard for the law. So we have probation and parole and all these agencies fully assigned to our task force, but we ask them to look at their caseload and to bring forward some of their more serious cases, and that's what they did. So a lot of the cases that we addressed during this 30-day period were their cases. So Wes Hatley from STIU Probation and Parole is going to come up.
Marshal Chavez, thank you for the kind words and for the opportunity to be a part of the task force. The New Mexico Corrections Department Probation and Parole Division has been a proud member of the United States Marshals Task Force in the District of New Mexico for many years. We were extremely proud to be a part of this very successful operation, and State Probation and Parole looks forward to future opportunities to positively impact public safety by apprehending violent fugitives alongside our law enforcement partners. Thank you.
Our new district attorney, Sam Bregman, is going to say a few words. And so earlier I talked about the fact that 61 of these cases were state and local cases and 27 were federal. So our U.S. Attorney's Office is looking at some of those cases, and we will be adopting and presenting some of those federally. But the majority of those cases are state and local cases, and we can't do this without the prosecutor's office. So we're very grateful for Mr. Bregman and his team at the DA's office.
Thank you, Marshall. It's only appropriate that we come here today, all these law enforcement partners, and celebrate the fact of how good the Marshal Service is and all of law enforcement in Albuquerque is at going out and catching fugitives. It's really important to understand that Marshall, and I say this to everybody, y'all catch them and we'll prosecute them. I can assure you that. We're very grateful for it. It's amazing when law enforcement works together the way it has on this operation. And I'd only encourage, and I take this opportunity real quick to focus the legislature up in Santa Fe. We need more the funds that have been talked about. We need those to go out and catch more fugitives, because if you don't have the respect for the rule of law, then that's a real problem, and these agencies are going to go out and find you and bring you to justice. Thank you, Marshall.
So we'll open up to any questions in 1 second. I just want to say, we're in a very unique position here in New Mexico because we're a border state. We have the opportunity to serve in a different capacity, and that really translates into more resources coming to New Mexico. This is the 4th national operation that the U.S. Marshal Service in New Mexico has been a part of in the last probably 36 months, where we've been able to really reinforce our efforts to address violent crime. And we're very proud of the fact that this is immediate relief for our community, in that when we take fugitives off the street, it makes our streets a little bit safer, because we know through our experience and through all the statistics that those fugitives are out there, reoffending. So we're really proud of the work that we've done with our partners in the last 30 days, and the great work will continue. So if anyone has any questions for anyone up here, we'll take those. Sir.
How did you select which warrants to go after?
So we always prioritize our warrants, and as I noted before, we relied heavily on probation and parole this time. About half of the warrants that the Marshal Service addresses on a daily basis nationally and here in New Mexico, about half are state and local warrants and half are federal warrants in general. So we really rely on our state and local partners to give us their priority warrants. So 4 of these were homicide warrants, so absolutely those are going to be at the top of our list. And any other chronic offenders that our partners feel need to be addressed immediately. So this gave us the opportunity, instead of STIU from Corrections, Probation, Parole, using their team exclusively, this gives us the opportunity to bring, 30, 40, 50 people that initiative. But it's important to note that anytime we go after any offenders, sadly, because there are so many, we really have to look at their background, whether or not they're currently known to be reoffending out there. And we focus on those first. So that's really how we did it. Anyone else? Yes.
How many people on this warrant sweep have already been released in New Mexico?
You know, I don't have an accounting of how many have been released. You'd have to look at the I think confer with MDC, the facilities that detain them. But what we want to emphasize, I mean, it's very clear to us that not everybody that we put in jail stays there. But we are committed to doing our part, right? And so we have warrants that have to be executed, so that's what we're focusing on. And so we go out and enforce those warrants and bring those people into custody. And so we know that we're doing our part. Everybody needs to play their part in this very challenging work that we're doing. And our part is to go and pick them up and bring them into the system. And yes, we get frustrated at times that they're not detained for longer than we believe they should be, but we will continue to go out and pick them up again. Anybody else? Yes.
Do we have a list of the warrants that were served in New Mexico?
We have a list. Many of those cases are still being adjudicated, so that's not anything that we can release to you, but yes. TJ, no questions in the yellow jacket?
If we don't have a list, how can we check if they're still in custody?
We can work with you on that. I mean, if we could go through our list, that's going to be a challenge, but we can give you a list of those that we know have been adjudicated. Most of them have not, so most of them we won't be able to allow you to check on yet. Sadly, but that's the reality. Anything else to try to throw me off? All right. Anybody else? Yes.
There was a fugitive arrest in Northeast Albuquerque on February 7th. I believe the U.S. Marshals Office was investigating. Was that connected to this operation?
Do you remember the name?
Of the suspect?
Was it the fire?
The fire. I don't believe we ever got a name of the fugitive. But APD told us the fugitive was in the attic of a house that was on fire.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that was part of this operation. It actually, that happened the day after the official close of the operation, but for all intents and purposes, we used all the same resources to address that case. So in that case, that's an example of how the offender had complete disregard for the safety of even the people in his own home. And it's not up to us to say whether or not he is the one that started the fire. That's up to the fire marshal to determine and report that. We had a job to do, and that was to apprehend a person who had a warrant, and he was in the home, and sooner than later, smoke started coming from the home, and he was barricaded inside, so we called the Albuquerque Fire Rescue, the Albuquerque Police Department, BCSO. A lot of people put their lives at risk that day, more so than on an average arrest, because they had to go in and save him. So the offender was taken to the hospital, and as of this morning, he's still in the hospital.
And Madam Marshal, that was a federal warrant for felon in possession of a firearm.
Exactly. So you can see that the underlying offense was a dangerous offense.
Thank you, Marshal.
Yes. Sir.
Was that one of the most dangerous operations during this North Star 2, that fire incident?
I wouldn't characterize it as one of the most dangerous. Definitely it was an anomaly. It's not very often that we are pulling our offenders out of burning homes. There was an increased level of risk because of the fire, because of the smoke. So, but, you know, it's important to note that every single time these deputies and officers go into a home to arrest a fugitive, that person has already committed a violent offense. So we go in there knowing that he is likely to engage us in a violent way. So know that every time they go in absolutely prepared for the worst. So I wouldn't characterize this as more dangerous, although it did increase the level of risk in a unique way to all the officers and the fire rescue. Anyone else? All right. Anybody have anything else? We appreciate you being here.